Welcome in to the first DNVR Avalanche postgame of the regular season, live from the Toyota Winners Lounge, powered by your Front Range Toyota dealerships and presented by Bet365. The Avs win on opening night 4-1. They take down the LA Kings and start on the right foot in a game that turned out to be quite a fun one for the Colorado Avalanche. We'll break it all down for you. I enjoyed myself. AJ, was it a fun watch for you?
I mean, it was a little slow at the start, but first game of the season, right? Everybody's a little sluggish. But as soon as Josh Manson smoked that guy, and then that UFC fighter's little brother decided to get involved in that action, the game really took a turn from that point on, and it's too bad that these two teams don't play each other for a couple of months because there's some real hate in the heart at the end of that one.
There was some feistiness going on, yeah.
It's a long season, fellas.
You
cannot play with that kind of intensity every night.
It is a long season in that regard. This one, I don't know. Should we do a 60-second rundown? We can do a quick recap of the game. I don't need a clock. It's fine. I'll just be fast. As AJ mentioned, period one, not really a whole lot happened. It was kind of a slow period for the most part until Josh Manson smoked a guy at the end of the period and got into a fight, like he mentioned. The Avs get a split power play, which, by the way, they got another one in this game. The Avs have to have the most split power plays of any team on the planet, right? It's absurd how often it happens to them. Power play didn't work, but it didn't really matter. The Avs top line shows up at the start of the second period or near the start. Marty Necas finishes off of a great play created by Nathan Mackinnok, and the Avs were pretty much just flying through the second period off of that. Sam Malinski with a beautiful finish to make it 2-0, and then 3-0 off of a great play from Cale that gets cleaned up by Arturi Lehkonen, and the Avs are in the driver's seat from there. Necas scores his second of the game in the third period to get the Avs on the board as far as power play goals are concerned to make it 4-0. Unfortunately, the Avs lose the shutout to a whole mess of penalties. LA gets one on the 5-on-3 for your 4-1 final, but the Avs take this one down pretty handily. In there, good.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start, AJ? Because you kind of already mentioned the Manson situation. I don't think he won that fight, if I'm being honest about it, but I don't care about that because the hit was great. You think he won it?
I think he won the fight in what it was intended to be. And I think that Malott lost the fight in what he wanted it to be. Sure. Because Josh Manson killed a man.
He did. That hit was beautiful.
It woke the Avs up in a big way, right? They had already started to kind of like find their legs in the game a little bit. But Manson dropped a depth charge into that guy's chest. Perfectly clean hit. And it really lit a fire under Colorado.
Yep.
And yeah, Jeff Malott, I mean, in what you would think of, he won that fight. But the Avs woke up, and for the next 25 minutes of game time,
they just took over.
Beat that ass.
Yeah, straight up.
And so I think Josh Manson easily won that fight when you look at it through that lens of, like, what did each team get out of that moment? The Avs drew way more from it. And so on hockeyfights.com, he is not going to do well in that voting. But from a larger picture, what did this actually do for the game? Big time. That was good stuff, and I think it really set the tone. Big hit sets the tone, and then the fight sets the tone, and then you see throughout the game these dudes rallying around each other every time that there's a hit, every time there's an altercation. You guys want to get crazy? Let's get crazy.
Yep,
we'll get crazy. I can go there. Let's do this. Let's all get crazy. We'll get crazy. We'll bust out all the crazy eyes. It'll be great. It's going to be a fun time.
I mean,
and I mean, that's a scary thing because the Avs have been a team that in the last couple of
They
years,
shied away from it, for sure.
They will shrink from those types of confrontations. That didn't happen. They were all about it. They wanted all the smoke. Brant Clark was like, I am not allowed to use adult language, but Brant Clark was like, I'm going to take some liberties. And the Avs were not about that life.
Yep.
And I think that rallying around each other, the sticking up for each other, hey, we're all pulling the rope in the same direction, that's cohesion, right? And that's what set the tone. We talked about this in a preseason game. It's the very first preseason game. It was the one at DU. Sam Lipkin got smoked by Gabe Landeskog.
Yeah.
Because of a hit that he had laid on Makar. And it was like, we're not putting up with this. And Landy sets that tone. Parker Kelly talked to us about it and said, hey, that means that we're all gonna that kind of energy is infectious. And you saw it again in this. You saw it again as this game went on. That sort of like playing for one another is infectious, and it's dangerous in not from a they're going to hurt people standpoint, but dangerous from that's a real hard team to beat already, purely from a talent standpoint. They're really good, but if they're going to start to play with that kind of heart on a regular basis, that's tough. That's tough.
This
That's
team
going to be a tough one.
Doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. I'll put it to you that way. It's the first period ultimately was a pretty even period on the whole. It did feel like the Avs started pretty sluggish. Their puck management was pretty bad, which, to be fair, I don't know if it's just first game of the season or the ice was bad or what, but the puck was a mess all night for both teams. So
both.
Yeah.
I think it was both. I mean, you could see so many basic plays where just the puck, looked like it had one of those like springs in it that a dude in the stands is just like clicking a button.
Watching
it
off.
Yeah, it just wasn't good. It was just not good ice. It's never good ice in LA. When has it ever been the case?
Fair. It's too hot there, I guess. But what was a pretty even first period? You take that Manson situation, and it turns into. It wasn't the most high event game of all time by any stretch of the imagination, but the Avs really did take over, and maybe more importantly, they finished on opportunities that they were given, especially in the second period. Look, first goal of the game, Nathan MacKinnon creates it entirely by himself. LA, to be fair, defends this horribly, but that's the Nathan MacKinnon effect. 4 dudes staring at Nathan MacKinnon, and he just slips a puck to Necas in the slot, and it's in the back of your net. Must be nice. Must be nice to be Marty Necas on that play. We'll get to Necas in a little bit. I did want to start with MacKinnon, though. He has 2 points tonight. He becomes the Avs' all-time scoring leader as far as points are concerned. The Avs, not the franchise, just the Avs. But still, MacKinnon moves into that position. And while Josh Manson helped with that spark for the Avs, this is how you draw it up, right? Your best players are supposed to be your leaders. Your best players score you your first goal of the game. Your best players get you running in that second period. And the Avs build off of that for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean, skating downhill. You saw Colorado's speed and counterattacking really start to take over in the second period. Once their confidence really started to build, they really worked themselves into the game. It's funny because statistically speaking, they weren't dominant.
Correct.
You don't go and look at the shots and all that, and at no point did they like destroy LA. But when you're watching the game, you feel the momentum swing, and you look at how they're playing, and you see the chances that they're generating. They're starting to come in waves. Each line is starting to have its moments because, as mentioned in the first period, it was kind of slow.
Yep.
The Brock Nelson line looked really good, right? It was solid. Gavin Brindley looked solid. The fourth line had its moments. Nathan MacKinnon didn't look good.
Not in the first.
Didn't look good at all. And you were like, great, now we can get that out of the way.
Yeah.
How many times have we seen Nathan MacKinnon come out like incredible in the first period, and then by the third period he's gassed? Where it's just like, you cannot be that good in the NHL for a whole game. You just can't. It's impossible. And with MacKinnon, you were like, okay, we're going to get a slow burn tonight. Okay. And that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
I mean, they shot out of a cannon in the start of the second period where it was like, oh,
here we go. Yep.
Okay. You're just like that. It was not even a minute into the period. Makes a great play. Their power play ends. He makes a great play. As you mentioned, oh my God, did they defend that poorly? Pretty funny. And Necas just, I actually really appreciated TJ Oshie's breakdown of where the puck was on the blade and how he had it kind of like, oh, he's the goaltender is reading that this is coming off on the far
and
post,
he goes short
and then
side.
he changes the angle and he picked it short side.
Yep.
I'm not sure if Kemper was reading it short side, he would have been able to stop that. It was perfect.
A missile.
It was just a perfect shot.
Yeah.
And that was one thing I appreciated about pretty much all the goals in this game is that you're not looking at any of them going, oh, that's not great. It's like the Malinski one, but because of all the traffic,
bodies in the way,
because of the traffic, you're kind of like, well, it's fine. But good goals tonight. Good. I mean, both Necas goals are really good, and Kevin Fiala's goal was a rocket.
That thing was a missile.
Rocket. It was great. So no, anyway, I'm kind of just rambling, but it was honestly that was once they really got going, they were awesome.
Yeah, I think that's an important part of this for me too. They did not look back. This game got put away pretty comfortably for the Avs, who last year was a team we saw at times you might not feel confident with them holding a lead. And they made no doubt about this game. They took a lead. They extended the lead. They held the lead. Other than some 5-on-3 meaningless nonsense at the end of the game, they nearly pitched a shutout. So, and that, credit to everyone on the team for that. They did it as a unit, and it was a good job. I do want to get into Necas, but before I get into that conversation, I want to talk about the power play too, because Necas' second goal is ultimately a power play goal. They go 1 for 5, which isn't like amazing, but I don't think it's something worth complaining about.
6.
Was it? Oh yeah, they got that late. Stupid.
Yeah, the one at the very, very end. We were like,
neat. Either way, they do score a power play goal. Even if you look at the percentages, it doesn't look great. I thought some of the early power plays looked pretty good as far as movement were concerned. We saw Nathan Mackinnon in behind the goal line at times. We saw Necas moving around. He was in the McKinnon spot at times. He was over on the other side at times. He even played up high for a little bit. I didn't hate it. Obviously, you'd have loved to say 2 for 6 instead of 1 for 6, but I don't really have a ton of nitpicks. There was one, I think the one early in the third was a pretty bad power play, but other than that, it really didn't bother me much.
Yeah, I'd like to see generate more quality chances, and there were a few cases where they had created
McKinnon whiffed on a couple
situations and mismatches, and then they either just didn't execute, or the Kings made a nice play. Like Drew Doughty in particular broke up a down low 2v1 where the Avs had pulled apart their structure, and were in the process of like exploiting it perfectly. And then Drew Doughty just makes a great play, and you're like,
well,
all right. I mean, good job.
Yeah.
But I think your overall point is well made in that there were some positives there. We're not going to sit here and try and put lipstick on a pig here. 1 for 6, it's not good enough. They had multiple opportunities to really stretch that game out because of the power play and didn't get it done.
True.
Like the one that they do score, the fourth one, right? Like that's neat.
Just perfect shot from Marty Necas.
Yeah.
It's not a great play or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it has nothing to do with how you're set up. It has nothing to do with your system. That's just like you want to face off, and he moves on over there, and he just picks a coin. It's the same shot.
Yep. Just
on
side.
His first goal.
Yeah.
You're just like, okay. I mean, he's got that down.
Yep.
Just let him continue to do that, I suppose. So, I don't know. I'm feeling like not good or bad about the power play. Yeah. It just sort of was like, we knew that this was going to be a work in progress. And for those of us that weren't big believers in Dave Hextall, the power play coach, this is going to be an exercise in confirmation bias and the process of fighting it all year long.
Yeah.
So
We'll see.
Not a great start.
One game. Don't read too much into one game ever, unless it's the final game of the Cup Finals or something. But they did get one, even if you would like a little bit more. We do need to take our first break of the show, and I think it's safe to say the Avs window is wide open. But make sure your windows at home aren't having issues with cracks or leaks or whatever it might be. That is where the folks over at Window Nation come into play. It's October, so it's the return of chilly air seeping into your home. If you have old, stuck windows, for sure, you can eliminate any annoying drafts once and for all with top-quality replacement windows from Window Nation. They've become some of the best replacement windows out there. Their installation crews finish the job in 1 day or less, so you can get back to your daily routines with minimal interruption. Window Nation has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. They have a 50-point inspection of every window before it leaves the factory and a 20-point inspection of every window when it's installed. Your new windows can be installed in a day or less, like I mentioned. They have a 96% customer satisfaction rating with over 45,000 5-star reviews, and they've installed over 3 million windows across the country, so they know what they're doing. Get started on your free estimate before October 31st to save big on your replacement windows. Schedule a fast, free estimate now with the pros at Window Nation at windownation.com. Once you got yourself new windows, you can leave your house without worry to get with Game Time and go to your next game, whether that's the next Avs game, or maybe you want to go see the Broncos on the weekends. Maybe you want to go catch a Nuggets game. They've got it all at Game Time, and when you sign up with code DNVR, you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Of course, terms apply there, but they have tons of ways to save money, whether it's last-minute ticket deals, section selectors, or they even guarantee you the best price. If you find tickets cheaper somewhere else, they will reimburse your account 110% of the ticket price. But the easiest way is to use the Game Time Picks feature, where you search for the tickets you want, and they'll show you the best tickets for the best prices. They cut out everything else, make your life easy to get the tickets, and you get to go to your event. Not just sports. They have theaters, concerts, and more over at Game Time. So use that DNVR code to get $20 off when you download the Game Time app and sign up today. Tap, ticket, go with Game Time. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Let's get in to Marty Necas, because those are two beautiful shots. Obviously, it's the contract year for Necas. He's a critical component to the Avs offense being successful in their top 6 this year. Can you really ask for a better start than that?
No.
All right.
I mean, again, the first period from that line wasn't great. I think the Avs do have an issue in that their top line is bad defensively again.
Yeah.
And that's not even like well, I'm overreacting to one game. These three played together last year and were bad defensively. We have some solid data on these guys as a trio that, they're not going to handle that end of the ice, which is funny because Nathan Mackinnok actually made 2 really great defensive plays
back check in this game. Multiple great back checks, actually. Yeah. Like, with that, they did get smoked in possession in this game. And a decent amount of that is score effects, don't get me wrong. But even at the end of the first, end of the second, they're providing you critical goals, but they're also not going the right direction maybe as much as you would like.
Yeah, and like they do a good job creating chances, right? Of their lines, they lead the lines, their 4 lines actually, like as units, not jumbled up ones.
But it's just very high event both ways.
Yeah, they led in shot attempts, but of course they had 4 more minutes of ice time than the next closest, which was your second line.
Yeah, who was great possession-wise, by the way.
They led in shots on goal. Obviously, they scored twice, but they also created 7 scoring chances. Your other lines, again, as lines, only created 6.
Yep.
So those 3 lines created 6 scoring chances, and your top line created 7. They created 4 high danger chances. The other 3 lines created 3 combined.
Yep.
So like your top line's still doing what it does, but it gives so much of it back that you need your goaltending to be on right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is something to keep an eye on, but offensively, once they really got going, I mean,
it was over. It was over.
McKinnon, And they didn't even really get into the like the globe trottering that we can see them do at times. Didn't really ever happen. And that's tough to do against the Kings. They're so good structurally.
Yep.
Especially defensively, that you are going to have a hard time like getting that kind of success against them. So I think your big takeaway here is that second line still looks really good together.
So good.
Your top line is going to be a high event line. You're just going to live with that. It's been that way. It hasn't really mattered. Nathan Mackinnon, Arturi Lehkonen, Mikko Rantanen, and Gabe Landeskog. It's been that way for 5-6 years now. It's fine. You're living with it because what it generates offensively is high end.
It's elite.
Yeah, you just live with it.
They scored. If you count the power play, Cole, they scored 3 or 4 goals in this game.
Yeah,
what more can you ask for? That second line. I'm trying to think of a line in Avalanche history that is as good as that line in the neutral zone. They were unbelievably good at preventing rushes, getting pucks turned the right direction through the neutral zone. The Kings were just having fits against that line. And the possession is great. If you want to use them as a shutdown line, great. I don't even mind a bunch of hard work. You see Val Nichushkin super sneaky in the offensive zone. He finds multiple plays where he just sneaks in and finds a puck out of nowhere. I would like to see that line finish, but on a night where you win 4-1 and they dominate possession, I don't need to nitpick them.
Yeah, I mean, again, they play 8-19 together at 5v5.
Yep.
So shot attempts are 9-4. Like your
A+.
Your second line allowed 4 shot attempts against, 2 shots on goal. Like you're feeling amazing about that.
Yep.
They gave up only 1 scoring chance against. Again, that's 8 minutes of 5v5 time in a game that was dominated by power plays.
There's a lot of special teams time.
Yeah. So, you are they're 41. There are only 41 minutes of 5v5 time in the game. 8 of them, with the 8 of them that second line was on the ice, the Avs dominated.
Yep.
They were just fine. They had absolutely no issues. The ice time was a little bit weird. The usage ended up being kind of strange. And as we've mentioned, a lot of power plays.
Yeah.
So some of these minutes are going to be skewed. But off the top of your head, who do you think had the most ice time among all the Avs players tonight?
Including defensemen? I mean,
yes.
Technically Wedgwood has had the most, but
I mean, come on.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I assume it's Makar.
It's not.
Is it a defenseman?
No.
I didn't feel like McKinnon and Nate just played that much.
They didn't. It's Arturi Lehkonen and Brock Nelson.
Okay. I mean, I guess they're getting the PK time.
Yeah. And all that power play time.
Yeah, they play both sides. Fair.
Nathan Mackinnon only played 20 minutes and 47 seconds.
For him, that's not much. Yeah.
You go down the line, Nichushkin at 14 minutes. Everybody else is under 12. Everybody else is under 12.
Yep. So very well spread out. Yeah.
Like Olofsson, Kiviranta, Landeskog. Gavin Brindley didn't hit 10. He played 750. I think we could all kind of see that one coming a little bit.
Yeah.
But Brindley, I guess we'll get to Brindley here in a bit.
We'll talk about him. Yeah.
The usage was really interesting because that shows a coach that, okay, yeah, I trust my top line.
Yep.
Let's do it. But I trust my second line.
Yeah.
And your third and fourth line, we have talked about this so much going into the year that your distribution is going to be more like either 2 third lines or 2 fourth lines.
Right.
Depending on how those minutes actually end up getting doled out. But your 5v5 usage, your top line 12 minutes, your second line 8 minutes, your third line just under 8 minutes at 7:43, and your fourth line at 6 minutes. That's almost perfect.
Well, and you could see it from the start of the game, from the first period to the end of the third, at least at 5-on-5. they were rolling all four. And it's easy to roll all four when you're up 4 goals, but there's a 0-0 slow pace first period, and Bednar was not shying away from rolling the guys. He did not have to lean on the top dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Huge benefit, especially long term, if you can continue doing that throughout the season.
Yeah, and because of the special team distribution, you don't want to see Artturi Lehkonen playing 23, 29 every night.
That's too much.
Brock Nelson playing 23, 15. But again, because those guys were on both special teams and penalty kills, their numbers are goosed a little bit.
Yep.
But yeah, like that's a pretty encouraging sign.
Since we're in the room, what did you make of that PK? Obviously, they gave up the 5-on-3 goal. The game had gotten out of hand at that point. I didn't really think too much of it. Yeah, Josh Manson absolutely murdered a guy with a cross check. It is what it is.
Yeah, I think we'll talk about that. All of the Brandt Clark stuff we'll get into. Okay,
well, ignore that for a minute. The PK itself. Do you like what you saw for the most of the night on that? Or where do you stand on, for example, Brock Nelson being one of your penalty killers tonight? Unfortunately, Brent Burns did take one of the penalties, so maybe you didn't get to see as much of him as you liked on the penalty kill at times. But for the first look at the PK, where are you at?
I feel good about it. I did not love Burns and Manson out there together.
Okay.
For the reasoning that they're playing Malinski on the left side, and everybody's like, well, those are 2 old guys. They've been in the league forever. You don't want one of them moving around and trying to figure out the left side. So why would you do it on the PK?
Yeah.
Why? To me, that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
But I think the way that they played, the way that they were pressuring pucks, especially up high, we see how teams have success doing this to the Avs, where it forces you to make multiple really high skill plays under pressure. And if you can make 3 or 4 of them in quick succession and you end up with a goal, you have earned that goal.
Make them beat you. Yeah.
But sitting back and playing passively and watching them just kind of tinker and like, oh, we're going to pass it around. And then everybody kind of just gets into that puck watching. They get a little bit lazy together. I hate that. That drives me crazy.
Yep.
Tonight it was a much more aggressive. Hey, we're gonna pressure it. We're gonna, as soon as that puck starts to go out to the perimeter, we're gonna attack.
Yep.
And I was all about that. I don't care how they look on a 5v3. You're just surviving. That's all that ever is.
Again, whatever.
And as long as your goaltender plays as well as Scott Wedgwood does tonight, like your PK is gonna be pretty good.
To your original point, I do think shout out Parker Kelly. He was great at the top of that power penalty kill unit, rather. He was a guy that was really moving his feet, had multiple blocks again tonight. He's that guy, especially with LOC not in the lineup. He is that guy for the Avs penalty kill. And then you mentioned Wedgwood. I don't know how much better Wedgwood can play, to be honest with you. And you know, he only faced 11 shots on goal through the first 2 periods, but those 11 shots on goal include multiple high danger chances that he put down and allowed the Avs to cruise to an easier win.
Yeah, he only faced 15 shots on goal at 5v5.
I believe it. He faced more shots total in the 3rd period than he did the rest of the game.
Yeah. Like the Avs defense was actually pretty good in, they don't give up very many scoring chances. They only allowed 18 at 5v5. They only allowed 8 high danger.
Yep.
So, like, that's pretty solid suppression at 5v5. Like, it's
particularly through the middle.
It's good, man. Like, the numbers look good. And when you mentioned particularly through the middle, if anybody wanted to go and pull up that heat map, it's really encouraging.
Yep.
The Avs did a good job protecting that house, and I think a lot of that has to go to Brent Burns. Brent Burns rocked in this game. I was all about it. Like, you and I were like a little underwhelmed by how easy he was taking it in the preseason, but also we're like, he's 40 years old. This game doesn't actually count. Like, who cares? And watching how active he is defensively. He blocks 3 shots in this game. He predictably does not hit anybody. I'm a little more erring on the side of, maybe the offense really is going.
It didn't look great in the ozone, for sure.
Yeah. But defensively, I really did enjoy how active he was, how solid he was. And he just covers so much ground.
Yep.
He's so large, and he's not a physical guy, but he's really good with that stick. And it's just like he sees the game at a really quick pace. And that kind of anticipatory defense is great.
Yep.
And combine that with a 6'5" frame, and you're feeling good about it. I mean, I felt like he fit very nicely into Colorado structure and exactly what they wanted. And if you think about him versus like what they were getting out of Ryan Lindgren, you're like, ha.
Yeah, not just Burns, very few negatives from the Avs D core as a whole tonight. So a lot of encouraging stuff there. Do want to talk more about that, but we do need to take our second break of the show. So let me talk about Rocky Mountain Cancer Centers. They're the official sponsor of Denver sports fans. Also very near and dear to my heart, as they have a bunch of great causes, including things for like breast cancer, which, if you didn't know, my mom passed away not too long ago from breast cancer. So go give them some money and support people that have to deal with that stuff. DNVR and Rocky Mountain Cancer Centers are proud to support Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Most of you know someone who's faced it, and it hits closer to home than we'd like to admit. The good news, it's highly treatable when caught early. So here's the challenge. Ladies, if you're 40 or older, schedule your screening. And fellas, check in with the women you care about. Your mom, your sister, your best friend, your teammate, and a simple nudge could make all the difference. And if you find you or your loved one does need treatment, RMCC is here to help. Rocky Mountain Cancer Centers, your courage, our expertise. Head to RockyMountainCancerCenters.com to learn more. And once you make sure you're taking care of yourself on a healthy front, you also should hit up our sponsor in Breckenridge Brewery, the official craft beer of DNVR. You can jump in with Breck Brew. Of course, Avs are back, so it's a great time to drink an Avalanche Amber Ale, but they have dozens of other great flavors of beer. If you like beer at all, they have a flavor for you. Even if you don't really like beer, they even have beers that AJ likes. So they've got a beer for everybody, whatever flavor you're looking for, whether it's the Strawberry Sky. They have rotating ones that are seasonal. I don't even know what their fall beer is, but I'm sure it's delicious. And you can find it at a liquor store near you online at breckbrew.com. Use their beer locator. They're available in all 50 states. Jump in with Breck Brew. Again, breckbrew.com to find it near you, and also check out all of their merch. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Second goal of the game does come from Sam Malinski. A nice little CNI shot, great screen in front. It just finds its way home. But for a guy who, I think the conversation about Sam Malinski this year playing on the opposite side is, let's see how it goes. Nice little feather in his cap there.
Yeah. And that was something that we had talked about a little bit during the preseason of like, how can this work?
Yep.
Him being able to shoot a little more freely from over there.
Works.
That was something that we had recognized as like, yes, that is something that we think he's going to be able to do a little bit more and lean into. That's a skill of his. And we saw that. That goal starts with Kiviranta on the forecheck, just causing problems. Parker Kelly, Kiviranta, they all Gavin Brindley through the neutral zone. Like they all have a nice little contributions to that goal. It sucks that no points get doled out other than the Malinski goal, no assists, because they all had nice little plays. I was really hoping Brindley would get an apple.
It's the life of the fourth line right there. Yeah.
Yeah. I rewatched it and I was like, nah, nobody's getting anything on this.
Yep.
But I mean, that's just good. Like that's good hockey. And with your fourth line on the ice, you won the scoring battle 1-0. Every single night you will take that. Every single night.
If you win 1-0 your fourth line every single night, you're not going to lose very often.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got us into it. Let's talk about Gavin Brindley. And the thing that I specifically honed in on in this game, he outplayed Victor Olofsson by a lot in this game, in my opinion. Olofsson, I hardly noticed at all. He had a couple of shots at the very, very end of the game that I don't give a ton of credit for, but Brindley was significantly noticeable, especially through the first two periods. I know he didn't play a ton, and you take a look at some of the opportunities he had, and maybe you want him to shoot it a little bit cleaner, maybe you want him to hit the net, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But a guy that continues to be noticeable.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly didn't have a big problem with Victor Olofsson tonight. I thought that.
I don't disagree. He just wasn't very noticeable.
Yeah, I mean, Gavin Brindley was kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Especially early on. I don't really know what else we have to say about him.
Fair enough.
You know, I mean, this is just such a continuation from the preseason for him where his work rate is elite. And that was always going to be one of those things that like could carry him. He's such a hard worker. He gets back. He plays hard defensively. He's not a bum. He doesn't just go, okay, well, when I have the puck, I light up. He's always working. He's always playing hard. He makes life difficult for everybody out there. And the opposition, not his teammates. And I just don't know how you come out of this thinking that Gavin Brindley, I mean, we talked in the pregame that I was annoyed about the whole Bardakov Kelly thing. Like, I'm still annoyed by it. I think it makes you a worse team.
Yep.
But this is, again, going back to the Olofsson versus Brindley conversation, not Bardakov, Kelly, Kiviranta, like none of that, right? Like, he is Gavin Brindley is just causing problems for the management and for the roster because he just gets after it.
What does he have to do to survive the next 2 weeks? Is there a world where he sticks on the Avs roster this year?
Don't make mistakes defensively. Is the number one thing that an NHL coach looks at for a young player. And of course it's interesting because you see two sides of this coin in this game, right? Yep. Gavin Brindley, the young guy trying to make his bones. On the other end, you have a guy like Joel Edmondson who's terrible and shouldn't be in the NHL anymore. And it's one of those old like adages of young guys have to prove that they can play, and old guys have to prove that they can't. And with Brindley, it's you can't make mistakes, man. You cannot put your team in a bad situation if you're only going to play 13 shifts in a game, which I think is what he got tonight.
Close enough, yeah.
Yeah, if you only get 13 shifts in a game and one of them you give up a grade A scoring chance, you failed.
True.
Like, you have to take... There's a reason that UL Kiviranta types are super, super popular around the NHL and with
because
coaches.
Nothing happens when they're on the ice. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you want guys in checking roles to check. That's your number one. Yes, they need to be able to chip in a little bit of offense at some point. And that's sort of an odd, like, with Brindley, where's it going to come from? Where's his offense going to fit? He's not much of a goal scorer as so much as he is like a natural playmaker for those around him. So if he's going to be making plays to Parker Kelly and Yoel Kiviranta, he's probably not going to produce very much, right?
The reality is the Avs don't have to be a scoring by committee team. Of course you want goals from your third line and fourth line. Of course they help you. But the Avs have, in my opinion, one of the best top sixes in the league. So they're going to get plenty of offense from those guys. And when your third and fourth line are chipping in occasionally and simply not losing you games, you're built to win that way.
Yeah.
You don't have to overcomplicate it.
Absolutely. But if you can get, with Olofsson, with Brindley, Ross Colton, you have offensive upside in your bottom six. That really does make you go.
You want it if you can get it, for sure.
Yeah. It gives you that little extra dynamic element. You look at on the opposite end of the ice tonight, the Kings. We've talked a lot. They're really, really good defensively.
Yep.
They really stick to their structure well. They do a great job. Look how hard it is for them to score 5v5. Look how much work that goes into generating kind of blah chances. Yep. And then when they get them, the roster's just does not have a lot of guys on it that you're going, this guy's going to really be able to chip in offensively.
Right. You're relying on Kopitar being ageless. You need Quentin Byfield to continue his quality play we've seen over the last year and a half.
Well, and like you need Kevin Fiala and Adrian Kempe to be dominant, right?
Kempe has to continue to be their best offensive player. And
Yeah, their top 6 is good. It's dangerous. It's legit. They're probably going to be a playoff team this year for a reason. Like, it's not a bad squad over there. But you look at how hard they have to work to get production from their bottom 6. Part of that is because they need that. Adrian Kempe led them in scoring last year with like 75 points.
Yep. That's
Like,
not a lot.
That's a really hard world to live in. And now with that comparison to the Avs, you say, all right, you've got a 100-point player in Nathan Mackinnon. You've got a top 6 where you reasonably expect every single one of those guys to be 50+ points. You would love for it to be 60+ points, but 50+ points. And now your bottom 6, you're like, hey, we think that we can get 15 goals from Colton Olofsson. You're hoping 10 to 15 from Jack Drury.
Yep.
And then, your fourth line is who knows, right?
Yeah. You get what you get there.
You would love 10 goals from each of those guys, but that's probably getting greedy.
Reassess when LOC is back in the lineup at that point.
Yep. But like, those are all realistic benchmarks, and right now you don't feel stressed about those numbers. You're looking at it going, these guys can produce. And yeah, you're gonna have a third line. You're gonna have a third line that, like, it's gonna have nights where it just doesn't look great.
Yeah.
We've talked about it being like, it's 2 offensively tilted players with a defensive minded center. And none of those guys are top 6 caliber, like consistent top 6 caliber players. They're solid, like middle 6 type guys.
Yeah.
So you're going to get inconsistent performances from them, because if they were consistently being really productive guys, they'd be in your second line.
But you look at tonight, as we were talking about the numbers for this line before the show. Yeah, they didn't really generate a ton offensively.
No.
But also you have a Jack Drury on that line where multiple different times tonight in his own zone, you watch him just straight muscle a dude behind his own net, take the puck away, and get the puck going the other way. So if they're having not a great night offensively and they can limit what they give up defensively, and they gave up essentially nothing defensively tonight, at least at 5-on-5. Awesome.
Yeah. To your point, as a line, 7 minutes and 43 seconds of time, they allowed 2 shots on goal.
Yep.
They allowed 1 scoring chance, no high danger chances.
Nothing.
And that's from a line that has Ross Colton and Victor Olofsson, like 2 guys that don't have like sterling defensive reputations.
Yep.
I think you're fine. And in a game against a really, really good defensive team like LA, they struggled a little bit to generate some of the offense. Yep. But get them in a game against an Edmonton, or
plays a little fast
Vegas,
and loose,
or a Dallas, which plays a little bit different and will get a little bit more up tempo and will engage in some run and gun. And I think you could see. I think you're going to see a lot more of that upside. These are the types of matchups where, Nathan MacKinnon, Marty Necas, Cale Makar, like those guys win you games on a regular basis. Because when push comes to shove, the way to break down great defensive teams is to have great offensive players. And the Avs flexed that muscle tonight. They will probably flex it another 45 times this year because they're an elite hockey team.
I'm glad you gave me a perfect segue to this one, because if you ever hear me say I do not enjoy watching Cale Makar, I am being held hostage. Watching him create that goal, it's funny because we watch him every day. We go on this podcast and I regularly talk about how he's the best player on the planet. Mm-hmm. But then you're in a regular season game, you're in a competitive environment, and you watch him light a man on fire, and then Lecky bangs it home off of the great initial play and the rebound. But it is genuinely so fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. The guy that he lit on fire, by the way, was Jeff Malott, who was the dude that Josh Manson fought.
Do you know his brother's in the UFC?
I did not know that, but it was drilled into my head that I think I probably will for the rest of my life. When dementia inevitably takes over my brain, it will be one of the things that I remember forever. I will be able to just sit in a retirement home somewhere and spout off fun facts, and one of them will be Jeff Malot's brother was in the UFC. That's how effective their messaging was tonight.
Impressive.
They should be in politics with that level of messaging. It was incredible.
But still, the Avs' best players in a lot of ways were their best players tonight. Got the job done on that offensive end for the Avs. Really fun to watch. And ultimately, are we ready to get into the nonsense portion of this game?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I love nonsense.
I don't know that I want to play the blame game and talk about who's at fault here, because there were cross checks going back and forth. There was a lot of aggressiveness from both teams. If one team took a shove, they were getting shoved back.
Yeah.
But
it was two teams that were trying to stake a claim as we're not getting bullied.
Right.
We're not out here to get pushed around by anybody. These are two teams that fancy themselves as Stanley Cup contenders. This is they're like could be like viewed as like West rivals among the like top cluster of teams out West, right?
Sure.
Like you do not want to give an inch of ground to one of those teams that you're worried about, you might have to see later on. The San Jose Sharks or the Nashville Predators or something, you're going to be like, you might put up with a little bit more because you're just like, you are gum on the bottom of my boot. Like, I don't need to waste time on this. But with LA, like you actually have a little bit of respect for them as what they're capable of doing as a team this season. And I think obviously the Manson hit on Warren Fogle, who I will always think of as Fagelli. Warren Fogle, really sparked that kind of aggression in the game.
Yep.
Credit to Jeff Malott for being like, hey, I'm going to go stand up for my teammate. We're going to drop the gloves. I'm going to beat you up a little bit. Good for him, right? And like he got done and he was still talking. It was respect. Like, honestly, how Malott handled his business tonight is how it should be handled. And then on the exact opposite end of that spectrum is how Brant Clark handled his business. Which
doesn't like
Holland,
rats.
Dude, Ken Holland should be pulling that kid aside and being like, don't you ever pull that shit again. Absolutely never again. If you're going to go out there and you're going to smoke guys, you're going to cross-check guys, hey, he smokes Arturi Lehkonen, Nathan Mackinnok gets mad and goes after him.
Own it. You got to
draws a penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he draws a penalty. Okay, great. You got away with it. You put your team in an advantageous situation. Fine. Whatever, right? Does it again. Gets away with it. All right. Now the Avs are upset with you. You have gotten under their skin. They are looking out for you. But then you go and you do it again. And then after you do it, as soon as the play ends, you get between, you let the official get between you and the other player, and you immediately skate away to the penalty box and you don't say a word to anybody.
Yeah.
That's coward stuff, man. That's not stuff that can fly. That's the kind of stuff like you're leaving 85-year-old geriatric ass Drew Doughty to pick up the pieces for you for the mess that you created. Drew Doughty may not even know your damn name at that point. How Jeff Malott went about his business tonight is how it's done. Respect.
There's doing dirty stuff and people yelling at you, but you could see by the end of the game, the Avs were done. It didn't matter who it was. Sam Girard was ready to jump that guy. Like that's how bad it got.
And he wouldn't engage on any of it. He knows what he's doing and he refuses to engage on any of it. It's rat behavior.
Yep. It is. No argument. You see the immediate difference where Josh Manson smokes a dude, clean hit, and a guy goes up and challenges, and Manson immediately answers the bell. No, not even a second thought in his head.
Absolutely.
And it's done. And then you spend the entire third period watching the Avs, every single Av that goes to the penalty boxes, shouting at someone because what are we doing here?
Yeah.
You watch Josh Manson cross-check a guy, and he did it. Josh Manson absolutely desered the penalty he got for it.
Man, did he get his money's worth.
But why is he doing that?
Absolutely.
Because you have to answer. Dude. If Brant Clark is not going to answer, guess what? Someone else on your team is going to pay the price.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is though, is Josh Manson cross-checks Brandt Clark.
I know, but Brandt Clark just happened to be the guy in the spot. Like
Josh Manson caught the numbers, right, and was like,
yeah.
Baby.
Well, hello.
You came in front of the net. Are you for real right now? Please let me do this. And he enjoyed that. That felt good. And then Brandt Clark was like, neener. Like, we have a 5-on-3. And we just made it 4-1. I have absolutely no idea why he went and did it again. What are you doing?
Yeah. At that point, you're out of control.
Well, yeah, what are you doing? Like, your team is trying to build a comeback here. Your team is trying to get back into it. And you're like, hey, I've been getting away with this all period long. Let me go and smoke Lecky again. And it was like the Avs were not about it, man. They were mad.
Yep.
It was like
understandably.
Yeah, it's kicking a hornet's nest, and it's like, all right, buddy.
Look, don't think they won't have your number the next time you play. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We do have. It's what? It was Josh Manson's birthday. Look at that. Killed a man for his birthday. I have no idea what Tiff brought me.
We all have hobbies, man. Josh Manson catching a body like that on his birthday. He's the manimal.
I don't know what this is that Tiff got me, but it is Dr. Dubs, and we got over 100 likes. So let me see a few Dr. Dubs in chat. Or if you're not a Supporters Club member, become a member now. You get access to the YouTube. You get emojis in chat. You get access to all of our behind-the-scenes content. And here is my medicine from Dr. Dubs. So the first win of the season. This is so much, dude. Ooh. Tastes like cough medicine.
I mean, we normally drink Jaeger, man.
You're not
Can't
wrong.
really complain.
You're not wrong. I can.
We're not exactly men of culture.
Azare with the Dubs in chat. We do have Jared Bednar's presser after the game, so let's hear from Bedsy, and then we'll wind down the show.
Coach, overall, what did you think of that effort? Seems like you guys got going and didn't really look back.
Yeah, good effort. Yep, competitive. Execution wasn't perfect at times. A little bit of a, I'd say, feeling out process early in the game. Thought by the time the last 7-8 minutes of the first period, by the time we got there, we started to play a little bit more assertive. Continued that in the second period and got better. So, like, good middle 30 minutes, third period, lots of penalties and power play and penalty kill, but overall solid effort, good defensive commitment, and found a way to create some good chances there in the second period and get a lead.
You guys, players, coaches, spent the whole camp talking about like everything feels way more settled, like everybody's here. Just that looked like a more settled performance than say the first game last year.
Oh yeah, no question. I mean, it's the personnel, the depth, the experience that we have in our lineup right now. Like, we're starting the year pretty healthy and guys slotted in the right places, and we're still looking at a few things and studying it. It's about this team now coming together and gelling, but they've done a nice job over training camp, practices, games, getting together off the ice, getting to know one another, lots of communication, talking about the right things. So that, to me, that translated a little bit tonight of us like kind of settling into the jobs we need to do as individuals, lines. I mean, an overall really good effort and good commitment and good competitiveness in the game.
Did you see a lot in tonight's game that you take going forward, so it's really encouraging?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's the second period. I thought getting back above pucks, shutting down their rush attack, trying to turn pucks back on them in transition. And again, some of the execution wasn't great there, but that's the most intensity we've seen in a game so far this year. So you got to get used to playing under pressure, and that'll come, I think, with time. But I think decision making was good. And, we'll show some of the things we did in the second period because I think we can build off that.
I imagine that between Nate and Marty is pretty much exactly what you're looking for today.
It was good, really good. The line was good. A little bit of a slow start, but they got more involved, and made some nice plays and capitalized on them too, like both power play and 5-on-5. So I thought, you know, they did a nice job setting the tone for us offensively.
With Marty, you said you want him to shoot more. Are those two you file away where you say, this is why we want you
I
to
keep
shoot
doing it. I mean, he's been ripping the puck all exhibition from the first game. Right? I think he had 2 goals in the first game in exhibition. Gets in those areas. He's a guy that can score from distance, and he seems to get in there a lot. And last year he deferred a little bit to other guys, and I think, you know, I see him as a goal scorer, and I think that he needs to like have a good balance of that. Shooting the puck today, you know, he gets into 2 good areas, one in tight, one a little bit from distance, but he's got a great shot. He's ripping it up, you know, all training camp. I think he has to continue to do that.
Did you notice a difference in your team after that Manson hit? A spark?
It was a good physical game from us, you know, like get a little out of hand in the third, but guys were feeling something there, so, you know, I'm okay with them acting on it in that situation. If there's time to be smart, tonight we had a little bit bigger lead, and they took exception to a couple things, so I'm fine with it. I think the physicality was good, though. It's got to be part of our DNA. We got some big bodies, some big physical guys, so both off the forecheck, D-zone coverage, I think it has to be part of our identity.
Josh, it looked like he had some words there at the end of that fight. Was there something maybe that he didn't like, that you guys didn't like about the way that fight went down?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him. Yep, thank you. Yep.
So, for the most part, Bedsy liked what he saw out there, or at least was okay with the physicality given the situation of the game. Don't know that I have a ton else to say. The only real nitpick, like if we're being serious that I'm actually like upset this happened in the game, I'm sad they couldn't get Wedgie the shutout.
Yeah.
Would have liked that for the guy because he played great back there. So
Yeah, he was really, really good.
Other than that,
I was so distracted by whatever was going on in the background of that Bednar presser. I agree with the Toyota chat. I assume
it's
it was
nuke.
just
It's nuke
juice
for
kidding.
sure.
Gotta get my 90-minute lifting session in.
Dude's an animal in the gym for sure. All right. I don't know that we have a ton else to add for this one. We do have one super chat that we can get to quickly here. $2 from Ryan, who says, East Coast gang checking in. I'm so sleepy. Yeah, it's like almost 3 a.m. for you boys.
It's 2:45, yeah.
Yeah, it's too late. Too late to play games at this hour. We should be... I'm in Colorado, and it's almost 1 a.m. Like, come on now. We can do better. We can do better than that, NHL. Give us a little earlier start.
Yeah.
It's but like ESPN has a second channel. You can play hockey on 2 channels.
Famously, there's an ESPN too.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Not to pat ourselves on the back too much, but I am 1 for 1 on my crystal ball predictions. Just throwing it out there. Marty Nate just got the first goal of the game. So we also picked 4-2 each. It ended 4-1. That's pretty close. We were in the ballpark.
I was like, oh, it was 4-0, and I was like, feeling good about this. Feeling good about this. I wanted to be a hater, but I was like, no, I'm going to lean in. I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm going to buy the hype that I've spent all summer building on this damn team.
If you haven't, I know game 1 just finished, but it's still a great time to become a diehard. You can go read AJ's preview piece, which is still relevant after game 1. There's a ton of great information, unbelievable quotes in there. If you haven't gone and read it yet, go check it out. Also a great time to become a diehard with pieces like that from AJ, but we also have a ton of content coming this year, whether it be roundtables or bunches of other stuff that we have planned. You can also get a free t-shirt if you want. We have a great deal going on for a hat right now if you want to become a diehard for just $59 for the year. Tons of other good stuff. So go check out the diehard stuff. Consider supporting us that way. A bunch of great content on there. And you'll be able to find the rest of our content too. Post game, it might be 3 a.m., but you know, I'll still have a review up hopefully before the sun's up. I know AJ's got a couple of pieces he's working on because he's an absolute madman in the middle of the night over there. Lots of good stuff coming.
My girlfriend has to be up at 8 a.m. is going to love me clacking away on my keyboard. It's It'd be great.
So make sure you're part of the crew and go check that out. We also, I don't know exactly what you guys get to meet another member of the beat pretty soon. I'll put it to you that way.
Didn't they meet one tonight?
Yeah, I mean they already know him though.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah, true. More J Mike on the pod this year too. Lots of fun stuff.
Yeah.
Coming your way. We are wrapping up here. Any final thoughts? Sorry.
No, you're fine. My final thoughts are that was a great way to start the season. That was a lot of fun. Adrenaline is high. It's a really, really encouraging game against a pretty good team who was elite at home last year. And to go into that barn and punch them in the throat like that.
Feels good. Feels good.
Okay.
Home opener on Thursday. We will be back tomorrow to have a few conversations for an off day pod as well. So tune in to that one. 1:15. Quick turnaround for us, kind of. We'll see you there. This is the end of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. We hope you enjoyed. We appreciate y'all. And of course, we're presented by Bet365. We will talk to you on the next one.
We all silly like the mayor.